Vulneraries are herbs that speed wound healing. The word vulner means wound. If you think about being vulnerable, means that you're able to be wounded, right? So, vulneraries are herbs that speed wound healing. They're typically connective tissue tonics. That's some way they promote cell growth, particularly connective tissue cell growth. Licorice, for example, increases fibroblast production, a precursor to collagen, and that collagen is helpful to create a new cellular matrix in a wound, right? Vulneraries are used in many situations, really in all tissues that could get wounded, not just getting a cut or scraping your knee, but eczema, skin inflammation, dermatitis, psoriasis, um, or lung issues, even in asthma, if there's inflammation and some deterioration of lung tissue. In the GI tract, if you eat a food allergen, you could have some destruction to your GI tissues. And so vulneraries help speed the healing process of any vulnerable tissue. Again, typically skin, lungs, GI tract, maybe the urinary tract, and also the genital tract, particularly in women, if there's any vaginitis. Vulneraries are going to help restore connective tissue in all of those cases. Even bone tissue. Bone tissue is a connective tissue. So a lot of times your vulneraries will help with bone tissue as well. So these herbs are typically connective tissue tonics, anti-inflammatories. They may be demulcents or emollients that coat areas that where the mucous membrane is exposed. So a demulcent, by the way, is an herb that creates a slimy sort of mucilaginous coating. Think of okra or even oatmeal. An emollient is when you use that topically on your skin. Demulcent is when eating the herb causes your mucous membranes generally throughout the body to be covered in mucus, that they provoke mucus production. All right, so again, vulneraries are typically connective tissue tonics, anti-inflammatories. They're demulcents and emollients. They're often lymphatic cleansers as well, detoxicants, and that helps cleanse the wound of ama. If you can clean the blood, it cleans the wound. And you can do that topically as well. You can clean a wound topically, but you also want to clean up the lymphatic system and your plasma so that you're creating the optimal conditions for wound healing. Very often, vulneraries will be bitter or somehow reducing to the of sugariness in the blood. They are hypoglycemic, and that deters infectious agents from proliferating in the wound. So vulneraries may also be antimicrobial as well. So lymphatic cleansers, they might be blood movers or alteratives because if the liver is doing its job well and blood chemistry is perfect, that's also going to deter deter microbial proliferation. Um, and optimal blood chemistry is optimal conditions to heal, right? So all of those things are things that we are going to be looking at when we're looking for a vulnerary. Also, whenever we see an herb as an anti-ulcer, by the way, I just want to mention this. Sometimes herbs are listed as anti-ulcer. Typically, that means vulnerary, or very often those anti-ulcer herbs are vulneraries. Licorice, for example, is anti-ulcer. And also a vulnerary. An ulcer is what? An internal wound. So something that aids the healing of ulcers aids the healing of wounds. Here's some Western herbal vulneraries: plantain, comfrey, mullein, and calendula. Marshmallows in the Ayurveda apothecary as well. Then we have herbs like bringaraj and licorice root, and many others are listed as vulnerary.